You're standing at the back edge of your yard right now, looking at that one open gap where your neighbor can watch you drink your morning coffee, and you already got the fence quote. $6,000. Maybe 8. And your stomach dropped. Here's the truth nobody in my trade wants to say out loud. You do not need that fence. Not for privacy. I've spent almost 30 years installing fences, ripping them out, and quoting jobs I knew people couldn't afford, and I've watched folks blow the price of a used car on a wall of cedar when $80 of the right stuff would have hidden them just as well. And the number one trick on my list today costs less than $15 and takes one afternoon, but almost nobody does it because it sounds too simple to work. Stick with me, because whether you're staying in this house for 20 years or listing it next spring, this is the one that changes everything. I still remember a job out on a cul-de-sac years back. Nice couple, brand new deck, and a $6,200 privacy fence I'd installed the month before. She told me flat out she still felt exposed, because the neighbor's second-story window looked right down over the top of it. $6,000, and she was still hiding behind her own patio umbrella. That day taught me something the fence salesman never will. Height and money don't buy privacy. Placement does. And that's what we're getting into. So let me walk you up this list the way I'd walk you around your own yard, starting with the easy stuff, and building to the trick that actually matters. Let me start at number 8, and it's the one everybody laughs at until they see it work. Solar lights. The little stake lights they sell for a few bucks. Now you're thinking, how does a light give me privacy? It doesn't block a single thing during the day. But privacy isn't only about the daytime. In the evening, when your kitchen light is on and it's getting dark outside, your yard becomes a stage, and your neighbors have front row seats. You can see out, but they can absolutely see in. Here's the field trick. You line a string of warm solar lights along the edge of your patio, or the top of a low screen, and you flood the boundary with soft light. What that does is pull the eye. A person's gaze lands on the glow, not on you behind it. It's the same reason you can't see the audience when you're on a lit stage. For about $6, you break the sightline with light instead of lumber. But light alone won't do it, and here's where it gets a little more serious. Number 7 is the one I see people get almost right and then quit too early. Outdoor curtains. Dollar Tree sells shower curtains and cheap fabric panels, and folks buy one, hang it crooked off a nail, and it flaps around looking like a garage sale. That's the cheap version, and yeah, it tanks your curb appeal. But do it the way I tell my clients, and it reads like a resort cabana. You grab a length of half-inch PVC pipe or a tension rod, you thread 2 or 3 matching panels, and you hang them across the open side of a pergola, or between 2 posts. The secret is fullness. One skinny panel looks broke. 3 panels bunched together so they drape look intentional and expensive. Total cost maybe $9 in fabric and a few in pipe. And when the wind moves them, buyers walking through don't think cheap, they think outdoor living space, which is the phrase that sells houses right now. Therefore, once you understand it's about looking intentional, the next hack gets easier to pull off. Number 6. Faux ivy and leaf garland. The rolls of fake greenery they sell for $1 or $2 a strand. Now I'll be honest with you, I used to hate this stuff. Early on I thought fake plants scream cheap, and done wrong, they do. The mistake is spacing them out so you see the chain link or the bare wall right through the gaps. What you want is layering. You zip tie the garland onto an existing chain link fence, and you overlap every strand so there's no daylight punching through. From 10 feet away, and that's the only distance that matters from the curb, nobody can tell it isn't a hedge. I did this on a rental once where the owner didn't want to pay for real shrubs, and 2 different neighbors asked what kind of bush it was. 30 strands, maybe $40, and an afternoon with a bag of zip ties. Compare that to a real privacy hedge, which runs you hundreds of dollars in plants and 3 years of waiting for them to fill in. But faux greenery has one weakness, and it's the thing that separates the amateurs from the folks who make this look like money. Number 5 is faux boxwood panels, and this is where we step up a level. Dollar Tree and the dollar stores carry these little square mats of fake boxwood, the kind meant for weddings and photo backdrops. Landscapers use the exact same product and charge you a fortune for a green wall. You zip tie these squares onto a cheap wire grid, a section of fence, or a wood frame you build from furring strips, and you tile them edge to edge like tiles on a floor. The trick that makes it read expensive is trimming the edges clean and mounting it in a straight, sharp rectangle. A crisp green rectangle looks designed. A saggy, uneven one looks like you're hiding something. I've seen these green walls quoted at $1,800 by installers. You can build the same 8-foot section for under $60 if you buy the mats a few at a time. And here's the part that matters for resale. A living-looking green wall photographs beautifully in a listing, and photos are what get people to drive over in the first place. Therefore, if greenery is doing the heavy lifting on your sightlines, the next move is to give that greenery some height and some structure. Number 4. Tall planters clustered together, and this one is pure psychology. A single short plant does nothing, but when you group 3 or 5 containers of different heights and put tall grasses or faux stalks in the back ones, you create a wall of green that your eye reads as one solid mass. Dollar Tree sells the planters, the filler, and even faux stems. The insider move is to raise the back planter up on a hidden brick or an overturned bucket so it towers over the front ones. That staggered height is exactly what expensive landscape designers charge you to plan out. It creates depth, and depth is the thing that makes a yard look like somebody with taste and money touched it. You cluster these at the corner of a patio, where the neighbor's line of sight comes in, and you've blocked the view at seated height without building a thing. $40–50 for a grouping that would cost you $300 at a garden center. But here's where I have to stop and talk to some of you directly, because I know what a few of you are thinking right now. Some of you are sitting there thinking this whole video is for people with a big empty budget and a free weekend, and you're about to click away because you figure real privacy costs real money, and these are just cute little tricks. I get it. I thought the same thing for years, standing in driveways telling people the only real answer was a few $1,000s of fence. So let me give you the one fix that costs almost nothing, needs no contractor, and works whether you're staying put or selling in 90 days. It's the one thing that serves both of you at the same time, the person who wants to live better and the person who just wants the money back at closing. And it's coming up in the top 3, so don't go anywhere. But before I show you the top 3, let me stop for a second, because everything I'm about to give you works even better when you have the whole map in front of you. Picture yourself walking your yard, chair by chair, knowing exactly where every dollar should go before you spend a single one. No guessing, no wasted trips to the dollar store, no screen in the wrong spot. That's the whole reason I put together the complete curb appeal system, my 3-volume playbook you can download and read tonight. First Look walks you through the hierarchy of impact, so you spend every dollar in the right order, and the Edit First protocol that stops wasted spending cold. Yard Elevated hands you the luxury signal framework and the ROI protocol, the upgrades that add real dollars at resale, plus the elimination protocol that strips out whatever's silently making your yard look cheap. And here's your free test tonight. Go sit in the chair where you actually relax, follow the neighbor's eye line the way I showed you, and see for yourself that you only need to block one small section, not the whole fence line. That one look proves the whole idea before you spend a nickel. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description, or the pinned comment, and this is the season to do it, because the yard you fix now is the one that greets every visitor all summer long. Alright, now let's get into number 3, because this is where privacy stops being decoration and starts being function. Living privacy from seed. Dollar Tree sells seed packets, and I mean real ones, for $0.25 or 50 cents a piece. Morning Glory, climbing beans, sunflowers, moonflower. You build the cheapest possible trellis out of garden stakes and a roll of jute netting, or even fishing lines strung in a grid, and you plant fast-climbing vines at the base. Within one growing season, you have a living green screen 8–10 feet tall for under $5 in seed. Now here's the honest part. This one takes patience, and that's exactly why nobody talks about it. It's not instant, but there's research out of multiple university extension programs showing that mature landscaping and established plantings can return anywhere from 5 to 12% on a home's value, and a green living screen reads as established landscaping in a way a fence never will. An appraiser sees a fence and writes down fence. An appraiser sees a lush vine-covered screen and starts thinking this yard has been cared for. That's the difference between a line item and a feeling, and feelings are what move offers. Therefore, if you want the instant version of that same effect, we need to move inside for a second, because the biggest privacy gap in most homes isn't the yard at all. Number 2. Frosted window film. And this is the one I wish somebody had told me about 20 years ago, because I watched a homeowner spend money planting a whole row of arborvitae just to block a bathroom window when a $2 sheet of privacy film would have done it in 10 minutes. Dollar stores carry static cling window film and even decorative vinyl sheets. You cut it to size, spray a little soapy water on the glass, and smooth it on. No adhesive residue, no permanent change, comes right off if you sell. It lets the light in, but turns your window into a soft blur from the outside. The bathroom, the ground floor bedroom, the door side light where anyone on your porch can see straight into your living room. Those are the spots that make people feel watched inside their own house, and no amount of fence fixes a window. For a few bucks, you close the one privacy gap that actually follows you indoors. And for resale, a frosted side light or bathroom window reads as a finished, thoughtful detail, not a bedsheet taped over the glass, which, believe me, I have seen more times than I can count. But all of this, every single hack I've given you so far, the lights, the curtains, the ivy, the boxwood, the planters, the vines, the film, all of it is worthless if you get the number one thing wrong. And this is the mistake I made myself, the one that couple on the cul-de-sac taught me the hard way. Here it is. The number one privacy hack isn't a product at all. It's blocking the sightline, not the yard, and it costs about $15 to do right. Let me explain what I mean, because this is the thing my whole trade quietly gets backwards. When you feel exposed in your yard, your instinct is to wall off the entire property, fence the whole perimeter, hide everything. That's what the fence company wants, because they charge you by the linear foot, and the more feet, the bigger the check. But you don't sit in the entire yard. You sit in one spot. Your patio chair, your deck bench, the hammock, and your neighbor doesn't watch you from every angle. They see you from one or two specific spots: their kitchen window, their back porch, that one gap between the houses. So here's what I finally figured out after that $6,000 fence failed. Sit down. Actually go sit in the chair where you relax, and look at exactly where the neighbor's eyes land on you. Follow that invisible line. 9 times out of 10, you only need to block a section about 4 to 6 feet wide at seated eye level, which is roughly 40 to 48 inches off the ground when you're sitting. That's it. One small, well-placed screen right on that sight line does what an entire fence cannot, because it breaks the specific line between their eyes and your face. I proved this on my own back deck. I took 2 tomato stakes, a tension rod, and 1 panel of that faux boxwood, and I stood a screen maybe 5 feet wide, right where my neighbor's second-floor window looked down onto my grill. $15 in parts. Suddenly I could stand out there in a t-shirt with a coffee and feel completely alone, and I hadn't blocked a single other view. My yard still felt open and big. That's the secret the whole industry buries, because there's no money in telling you that you only need one small piece instead of 200 feet of cedar. And this ties back to something I learned reading through appraisal notes and real estate feedback over the years. A tall, solid fence around a small yard actually works against you. It can make the space feel boxed in, closed off, smaller than it is, and buyers walk out back and feel claustrophobic without even knowing why. But a yard with a couple of smart, soft screens placed right where they're needed feels private and open at the same time. That's the combination people pay for. Open enough to breathe, private enough to relax. You get that with placement, not with money. So think about the order I gave you today, because it's really one system. You find the sightline first. That's the number one move. You block just that spot with a small screen. You soften it with layered greenery so it reads as landscaping instead of a barrier. You close your indoor gaps with window film. You add light so the evening doesn't undo everything, and you let a few vines climb so that by next summer the whole thing looks like it grew there on purpose and cost a fortune. Every piece of it, start to finish, comes in under a couple $100, and most of it under $50. Now compare that to where you started. A $6,000 fence that a second-story window looks right over. That's the trade I've been part of my whole career, and I'm done pretending the expensive answer is the right one, because usually it isn't. Here's the thing I really want you to walk away feeling. You were about to hand over thousands of dollars for something that might not even have solved the problem you actually have. And now you know you can fix it this weekend for the price of a couple pizzas, and it'll look like you spent real money doing it. You're the kind of homeowner who'd rather hear it straight from the guy in the truck than get smiled at by somebody trying to sell you the biggest package. That's exactly who I make these for. Not for the folks who want to look rich, for the ones who refuse to get fleeced on their own property. So do me a favor, tell me down in the comments which one of these you're guilty of. Be honest, was it the crooked single curtain panel flapping in the wind, the row of shrubs you planted to hide a window that film would have fixed, or did you get the fence quote and almost sign? Drop it in the comments and tell me where you're watching from, because I like knowing whose yard I'm talking to. And if you found out you were about to make one of these mistakes, hit subscribe and stand with the rest of us who refuse to get talked into overspending on our own homes. Next time I'm breaking down the 3 plants that landscapers love to sell you because they die in about 4 years and you have to buy them all over again. You do not want to plant those before you hear this. I'll see you there. This video gave you the overview and walked you around the yard, but inside the curb appeal circle, I take you the whole way, with the full placement plan for every gap on your own property, right where this left off. There you can ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be doing this alone. Just point your phone's camera at the code on your screen. Cancel anytime with one click. Now that your yard feels a little more private, let me show you how to make it look truly high-end. I have 10 gorgeous, simple ideas waiting for you right here. Let's keep going together.